I was telling you to go look at the video, but as a matter of fact, let me play some of it for you.
Revolution. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien. Wow. We need to be prepared and we need to really speed up.
This is a small extract from what Professor Justin E. Fulin had to say during his visit to Rwanda. He challenged Africa to rethink its role in the AI revolution, warned against false geopolitical choices, and offered insightful information on how Africa can truly develop. Let's watch the rest of the video.
Africa need to use your own brain power to make up your own judgment. In the world of today, you hear a lot of talks about whether Africa should be forced to make a choice between China versus the United States. I think that's the wrong choice. The real choice for Africa, as well as for the rest of mankind, is whether the United States is doing the right thing or is doing the wrong thing, or whether China is doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. If the United States is doing the right thing, work with the United States. But if the United States is doing the wrong thing, why should you bother about working with the United States or following its leadership? Similarly, if China is doing the right thing, why don't you want to work with China? And, God forbid, if China is doing the wrong thing, why should you work with China? Don't be forced by any other country to make a choice which will not serve your fundamental interest. Now, when I traveled a little bit in Rwanda yesterday in Kigali, let me tell you my real observation. I think Kigali is in better shape today compared with China back in 1978, when China started to reform and opening to the outside world, attracting FDI into China. The philosophical point I want to emphasize is that if China can do this in 46 years, Rwanda and Africa can do it in the coming 4 decades or so. Have faith in yourself. China is a success story which can be repeated by the great people here in Rwanda and the great people here in Africa. Now, another piece of advice. What is the foundation upon which security should be based, not only for Rwanda but for Africa? Security never exists in a vacuum. Security should be based on several things, which are the pillars. One is maintain stability at home. The other one is keep peace with your neighbors. And the third one, as Deng Xiaoping, for whom I had the great honor to work with before, development is the hard truth. Develop, develop, develop. In that context, whichever country which can really help you to achieve your development goal, he should be a friend. But don't be diverted. Don't be confused by some other country coming to you, say, no, let's put a premium on certain other things or values, etc. And I do not want to build a bridge or a highway or a railway or a power station in your country. But if those countries which build these infrastructure projects in your country, they are not really meant good for you. No, that's not the truth. Decide with yourself. Use your own judgment as to which countries are really helping you to beef up infrastructure connectivity, your manufacturing capabilities, and in the African context in itself, power generation. You need power, you need to generate power. I understand, even in this great country of Rwanda, you may not have sufficient amount of power. Focus on that. Get that done. That will provide a much better context, whereby security for Rwanda, security for Africa as a continent will be better reinforced. African Union should really be more consolidated so that eventually, I hope personally, for all the Security Council meetings of the United Nations Security Council, there will always be a representative representing Africa. So it is not one of the 15 member states of the Security Council of the United Nations, but African voices need to be fully reflected in the proceedings. And consultation need to be made for African wisdom and leadership, etc. And great leaders in Africa, especially great leader like President Karami, for example, need to lead Africa and lead the African nation to project the African voices to the United Nations General Assembly on the one hand, and especially in the Security Council. Now, the other thing allow me to mention is that while we always talk about securities on the one hand versus development, but these two things are intimately integrated. They cannot be separated. And allow me to warn all of us. We are now already in the middle of this AI revolution, artificial intelligence. I'm very much concerned about the AI divide. And the AI divide will exist between humans. For example, you with very sophisticated chips embedded in your brain, I without. Between companies, between governments, between militaries, between cultures, and between civilizations. What we need to do is to really accelerate whatever we do to make sure no country is left behind, especially African countries. When you travel throughout the corners of African continent, you have the worry that Africa is not fully integrated into this AI tsunami, AI revolution. We need to speed up. We need to mobilize all resources. And I think the open source, the AI development, as represented by DeepSeek in China, represents a new trend. That means lower cost, enabling all participants to play a useful role, and African continent and all the African countries have a choice to really play a very significant role. Because otherwise, the real competition may not be between China or the United States or China and Europe. The real competition in the coming years may be AI versus Homo sapien.
Beautiful afternoon here. Anyway, we seems like there are other people who are making the pitch to us that we should get. Other people saying to us, showing us the path that we should follow. Today, most of them are not African. It's about entertainment. There are lots of people I can think of that would pressing home this message. One of them is Lumumba, Professor Lumumba. Another is Madame Chamboy Kwai. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. These are people who are on point, and they are serious about what they're saying. They have knowledge about what they're saying. On the other hand, our leaders are making great speeches, but their actions are useless. Their actions are what the enemy, the traditional enemy, are giving them and paying them to do. So now it's upon the young generation, the younger people of Africa, to look at this and say, look, you have been sitting in this chair for In some cases, I mean, you're 90 years old, can't walk, can barely talk. Somebody has to feed you. And you're still calling yourself president of a country. And have an army. I mean, there are generals around you who are keeping you in that position. The country may be falling apart. And these people, it's like they're decrepit. How can you call yourself a military general and you don't have the knowledge of... you have to laugh at this situation. I have to laugh, really. It doesn't make sense. You know? Whenever you think that you throw your people a little speech to make them feel good. And that's it. Like here in Barbados, I saw the political party who rules the country now giving out $300 per person. And I questioned it. Little did I know what was really happening behind the scenes till I saw a couple of laws come out that they were trying to pass. Instead of doing something that would get the country out from under the foolishness that's going on around the world, they're bringing in armed forces. They're recalling their army, people who retired from the army, building up the police force, and making laws that restrict people's freedom. So they're making you feel good, so not making, you know what I mean? They're making the people who get this money feel good while they're doing something that, I mean, totally is going to destroy their lives and the lives of their children in the future. And this didn't come from them. They came from outside the country. The same rules tried to be made in Kenya. Same thing now. You got the governor of the central bank and his predecessor. Useless advice. They work for, I showed you, they're consultants to the IMF and World Bank. How can you be a consultant to the World Bank about your country? And you work for you're supposed to be working for your country to make your country better. Hello? That's the way it is. Here it is, Victor Gao is saying to Africans, hey, you got potential, but you're not doing anything. That's the way he's saying it. He's saying it in diplomatic language. You have potential, you know, you can do it. Don't just follow blindly. Yeah, lots of people, Lumumba was saying that before I was born. Well, you know, Patrice Lumumba was saying that. You know? Eric Williams. Man. I don't know if many of you heard Eric Williams. He was once the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You know? He was part of the generation that formed the Pan-African group. Anyway, I hope you guys gonna go look at the video. And don't just wait till I find a video for you or give you information. Now you have to start picking up, and you're gonna have to start passing on the information. I mean, it's not difficult. Put your ego to the side, make a video. Serious. Make a video saying, hey, I'm in Gambia, I'm in Ghana, I'm in Nigeria, here's what's happening, you know. Talk to the young people. Serious. Most of the people I talk to are young people. The so-called elders, my generation, they're silent. And those who are not silent are in the government. So they keep the people under them, silent. And then the generation after these, they follow this tradition of being silent about what the elders, they don't talk to the elders about, say, hey, dad, mom, these things are happening to us. Do you have some advice? What happened in your day? They're waiting for the elders, and when they say something and the elders say, boy, you shut up, they go with that. Go silently. Slavery, we got to end it. Peace.